Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, we're hearing a lot in the news about the National Association of Realtors lawsuit settlement for price fixing and antitrust violations. Gets kind of complicated. So, how will that affect the real estate commissions going forward?
Well, Richard, it's really kind of going to turn the real estate world somewhat upside down just because the uncertainty of how it's going to flow, especially if another agent has a buyer, how are they going to be able to get paid for the services that they provide? And so what happened was the whole genesis behind this is there was home, it started back probably about 10 years ago. These home sellers in Chicago said, okay, I'm paying all the commission, and the commission is shared with the agent that brings the buyer. But the problem is the agent that brings the buyer is working against me. They're beating me up on price. They're asking for repairs. They're threatening to not close, and it's equivalent to paying somebody else's attorney. And so the DOJ got involved. They started looking into it and they found out that there is a form of price fixing going on with some of the large real estate brokerages. They actually had built into their training documentation, if you don't offer at least this much of commission to the agent that brings the buyer, we are going, these agents aren't going to show the home, which is still to this day true. There are some agents that look at the commission being offered and go, forget it. I'm not showing my buyer that house. And that is price fixing. That is, it's really against the rules. But you know what happens? People are all about the money. They're good salespeople, right? So they can really talk up the house that's offering more commission and talk down the house that's not. And sellers want to maximize the number of buyers looking at their home. It's only one buyer that's going to ultimately buy their house, but the more options they have, the more buyers they have looking at it, the more likely they're going to have success with the sale. And when they hire a real estate agent, they're not hiring the buyer's agent. They're hiring an agent to represent them to get them a buyer. And all the commission is negotiated with the agent that they've hired. So what they originally did back last year when these lawsuits started to take off, and the attorneys saw dollar signs, so they were starting to do more and more of these lawsuits. Actually, here in this market, people were getting postcards from these attorneys going, hey, you want to join the class action lawsuit? If you use these firms and you sold your home, you can join this class action lawsuit and we can get you some of that commission back. And so finally it reached a point where the National Association of Realtors was drug into it because the amount of commission that's offered to be shared with the agent in the listing system is non-negotiable. Not at all. Like whatever you are offering in the MLS, if you don't pay it, that agent can take you to arbitration, make you pay it, and punish you and fine you for not behaving. It's price fixing. So the National Association ended up losing a judgment for $1.8 billion. They negotiated that down to $418 million, still a lot of money in my mind. And the agreement going forward, starting in August, is that no longer is commission going to be offered through the multiple listing service to the buyer's agents out there that might bring a buyer for their listings. So the original idea was, hey, if you have a buyer and we share the commission, then we can have lots of buyers looking at this home and the seller can end up getting the most money or getting the most activity on their home. But there's so much chaos going on in the industry and so much entitlement going on in the industry. Agents really didn't want to work for it. I've had crazy stuff happen. I had an agent put in writing to me a few weeks ago saying, well, I really think it's a huge waste of my time to go to my buyer's inspection. And I'm like, let me get this straight. You're going to spend 1 hour showing the house, 1 hour writing the offer, and 1 hour at the closing and the walkthrough, and you're going to make $21,000. Richard, who doesn't want that gig?
Sign me up for Pete's sakes. I mean, talk about being a little bit greedy.
It's just that's how it is. I mean, I swear some of them just want me to send them a check. Can't
It's
you
like
show?
Dire Straits. They want their money for nothing.
So anyway, it just created this laziness. The technology kind of overrode the old world way of doing things. So things are going to be changing here very shortly. And so the other thing that happened is that the multiple listing services would try to minimize the listing agent's contact information. Did you know, Richard? I cannot publish a picture with my sign in it for the world to see. That's against the rules.
That's just crazy. I mean, how about common sense?
Well, no, because they want to take that photo and share it with everybody else's website and make everybody else's website look like it's their listing. So the buyers call them on my listing. That is the whole idea. But the problem is they just got lazy, they got careless, they just became overpaid door openers. They don't want to go to inspections. I mean, that agent that I just talked about actually asked me, this is an occupied home. Will you please just give the combo to my unlicensed inspector and let him in there for 4 hours by himself? And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. I yesterday on Sunday, I got this last week on Sunday, I got a call from an agent. I'm with so and so company, which I'm like, I never heard of that company. And he goes, yeah, I want to see this listing out here. I said, well, okay, you can set it up through the showing service. Now, why did I say that? Because the showing service vets them to, you can't just call on the phone and get the combo. I don't know who that guy is, right? And he wanted access to one of my empty listings. And I said, I said, look, I don't know who you are. You can call the showing service and set it up through them. He goes, well, I'm out here in the East County and my phone doesn't work. I said, it's working now. I said, I don't know who the heck you are. You know, if you want to set a showing, you can call the showing service. But he wanted me to just give him the combo and let him in the house. Well, with all the squatter problems that we have going on, I'm not taking that risk. Plus, I was mad that he called me on a Sunday anyway, because that's not my job to to coordinate showings. There are systems in place. There are listing services that tell you how to schedule an appointment. He didn't want to be bothered. He just wanted to pick up the phone and have me give him the combo. But I don't know if he was a real estate agent. He could have been a squatter. So I definitely did not give him the information. And you know what? He never scheduled a showing. So I'm not sure it was legit, but there are probably agents out there that will just give it up and go, oh yeah, go on in, no problem. Next thing you know, you got squatters in the house. So you got to pay attention. And it's just unsafe to anyway. I could go on and on about that. But basically, buyers don't know how it works, right? They see a house online and they're like, hey, I want to see that home. That's awesome. And they think they're talking to the listing agent, but they're not. It's some random agent that they connected with, either Zillow, Realtor.com, whatever. The agent doesn't know anything about the house. The very first meeting is at the house, right? And the agent is not required to find out whether or not the buyer has the financial ability to perform. They're just door openers at this point. So what is changing with this lawsuit is that no longer is the commission offered going to be shared in the MLS or anywhere. The agents are actually going to have to negotiate their own fee. What a thought. And they're going to have to articulate why would a buyer pay them $20,000 to open a door and write a 10-minute contract? Do you think there's going to be problems with that, Richard?
I think there are going to be big problems with that. I mean, this whole thing just makes me want to tell people how important you are, how you know the ins and the outs, and how trustworthy you are, even with all of these changes. You're ahead of the game.
Yeah, well, anyway, we have to go so far as to put signs up in the house highlighting the special features about the home so the end user, the buyer, sees it, because I know the agents aren't going to read what we already published about the home either. And that's another thing. On the private remarks, we're not allowed to put information that might motivate a buyer to make an offer. Like, we're including a warranty. This home is under warranty. Or maybe it's a veteran offering an assumption of a loan. This is included too. The rules don't allow me to publish that publicly. So that's really good information for a buyer, right? And they just, I don't know, they've just gotten insane. So I'm kind of excited about these changes because I really feel like at the end of the day, the buyers just want to buy a house. So when I was trying to explain this whole thing with my brother, he just goes, well, so let me get this straight. I have to pay to go look at a home. I said, no, but you have to sign an agreement with an agent that you will pay them if you buy that house. He goes, I'm not doing that. It's kind of funny. So it should be very interesting to see what happens this summer, unless it gets overridden by the lawyers. You know how they're always appealing and overturning stuff. But it's very, very important for home sellers to pick the right agent. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team and the host of the show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how the home buying process will change. Next up, we're going to talk about the impact of that settlement. And also that veterans now, they just changed a rule that allow their buyer agent fees to be paid on VA loans, which is, I think, is really, really good. Richard?
From Barb, what's the settlement and how are things going to be changing?
Well, the settlement is simply two things. The commission for the buyer's agent won't be published. They're going to have to negotiate their own fee, and they're going to have to negotiate it with the buyer. So, Mr. Buyer, if the seller won't pay my fee, will you pay my fee? And they're going to be asking questions like, okay, what is your fee and what do you do for that? Let's see. Well, I open a door, I write a 10-minute contract, I go to the inspection, I write an objection, I show up for closing. $21,000. Thank you very much. So it's going to be really interesting to see this whole fallout and what happens. They're also going to have to articulate their value. Like how does an agent bring value? They know the market. They know real estate. They know negotiating. They know handling objections. They know how to communicate good service. Those kind of things are things that they're going to have to learn how to negotiate with the buyer. So I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be a good change for everybody, and I'm looking forward to it. Richard?
Barb is the only agent I would recommend when you are thinking of making a move. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, you've got some hot new listings. Tell us about them.
I have a lot of great listings. I have a whole bunch of lots right now. One of them up on Lake George, right across from the lake, only 75,000. Beautiful townhome down there by Peterson Air Force Base. That one's only the mid threes. I've got a great home on North Union, completely remodeled in the low threes. I've got lots and lots of beautiful homes. I've got one on Smoke Tree, a townhome in Briargate. And some more coming up that are going to be really cool. We've got one on the market open this week on Crandall Drive down there, kind of close to Peterson Air Force Base, priced in the mid-fours, two-story, finished basement, beautiful home. I also have a great one on Brentford on the west side, priced at $469. That one's also going to be open on Sunday. And then a beautiful home in Briargate at $499, actually on the market, and we'll be holding that one open this weekend. Plus, I have two great homes out in Peyton, one at $719, one at $669. And we've got many more coming. We also have a fabulous home out in Black Forest on Chalet, priced at $985. That one has the most awesome RV garage ever. Beautiful, huge home. So if you are thinking of making a move, you want to find out about all of our new listings, go to barbhasthebuyers.com and look at our properties, or give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday, 11 o'clock, right after Kudlow. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Have a great week, great weekend. Great visiting with you, Barb.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Have a great weekend as well.